Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 20 career mode, and here we are once again with Moto 3, and this episode is our first opportunity to potentially win the World Championship. We can win it, not at the next race, but the race after. Obviously we do two races per episode, should I say. We've got Misano up next and then Aragon. If we gain enough points over Misano in those two races, we can actually wrap up the championship at Aragon. So we'll advance another week because we've got 2 weeks on the engine. We've got a technical staff notification. Emily Walsh, wow, she's good on the engine. We're not upgrading anymore because that engine upgrade is the last upgrade, so we'll head into San Marino. Hopefully we can try and get another win here. So at the end of the free practice session, then, I am a tad surprised. We're only 6th place, which is our worst showing for a long time, so maybe we won't be able to pull out enough of a lead over Misano in this, but we are still ahead of Misano, and we're only a 10th off the fastest time by Arenas there, so that should get us through to Q2 anyway. So I'll see you in qualifying. Hopefully we can try and get pole. We need to find a bit of time, obviously. So we're here in qualifying now, and I want to make sure I try and get that pole position, because obviously it seems like we don't have particularly great pace here, because AI did manage to outdo us. So we'll put down to 4 laps of fuel, and we'll head out onto the circuit. Out of Misano corner then, corner towards the line to start the lap. A crash for Carlos Tatai there. Should go towards turn 1, braking. I thought I'd actually broke a little bit late, but I hit the apex nicely. Got to watch out you don't wheelie in the middle of the corner, because you can do that. Turn 2 was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. Ricardo Rossi, there's Foggia coming out the pits in front of us. Ricardo Rossi's had a crash. He keeps crashing a lot in these qualifying sessions, but he's getting through to Q2 a lot, to be fair. So a lot better than he did in real life last year, it seems. So is that Sasaki ahead of us? I think it might be. Sasaki was really fast in free practice. Again, trying to warn me that I've got 1.9 laps of fuel left. Well, I'm only doing 1 lap, so I think I should be okay. Oh, we've broke way too late to Quercia. Or Quercia, I'm not 100% sure how it's pronounced. I think it's Quercia. I think we still might have gained on Sasaki. It's nice to have a little bit of a guide to try and catch up to. And obviously they're on their out lap, so they're probably not that fast. And also it's Sasaki, so I know he's pretty good in free practice. It's nice in qualifying, actually. Oh yeah, he's alright in qualifying, I suppose. But actually on track, the performance isn't so good as some other riders are. We are gaining on him a lot here. So through Curvone. This is one of my favourite sections on like a Moto 2 bike or a MotoGP bike. We're going up the inside of Sasaki here. Oh, we've absolutely sat him up. Sorry, Sasaki. Well, he's on an out lap, so I suppose he should have been getting out of the way anyway, but hopefully that didn't cost us too much time. Looking behind, Foggia is still quite close, so we haven't got too far away from Dennis Foggia, because obviously he didn't come out right behind us, so this perhaps won't be the best lap. Maybe the AI are actually quite good at this circuit, so that could definitely rain on our parade a little bit in terms of winning the championship at Aragon. But there we go over the line, 1:43.8. I think that's quite a bit quicker than we did in free practice, so we'll head back to the pits and hopefully that's good enough for pole position. Yeah, so much better lap in the end. Than we were at a second clear of Misano in second, but he has stepped up. It's been a while since he's qualified second, I think, alongside us. Foggia's a little bit further down the order, but I think he might actually be mathematically out of the championship now. If not, he should be after this race, probably pretty much regardless of what happens, as long as he doesn't win and I don't score out the points. So it's between me and Misano. So we just got to make sure that we try and get Misano, because if we gain 9 points on Misano in these next 2 races, I win the championship. So anything could happen, really. If we can try and get all 9 in this race, then it makes Aragon a lot easier, because we only have to just beat him. It doesn't matter where we actually finish. But anyway, we'll head into the race now, and hopefully we can try and get plenty of points over Misano, but I'm sure he's not going to go without a fight. So we're on the grid then now, and Carlos Tatai, I didn't even mention him, he got 3rd place. Well done to him. He's been doing really well in some of these qualifying sessions. They seem to be a little bit messed up sometimes, where the random AI that don't particularly do well in the races qualify well and then drop back through the order. So maybe they'll get in the way of Misano, but usually the very fast AI start extremely quickly and they're already back up behind me before we even get to the first corner most of the time. So we definitely have to try not to get a glitch start this time, because if we get a glitch start, well, that could really do it for us here. Not that it particularly matters. We obviously have a massive lead in the championship. We're talking about wrapping the championship up 5 races early here. If we don't do it at Aragon, we'll probably definitely do it at the next race. So it doesn't particularly matter. But I want to try and get it as early as we can. So I want to try and gain as many points as I can over Misano. So a win is a must here today. So we've been on pole for every race but one. We've won every race but one. Can we keep those stats alive here today? Alright, so away we go. We've not had a terrible start, actually. We've had a pretty decent one. It's Misano coming on the right hand side. He's there, but he's not quite caught us yet as we go towards turn 1. Round the front, we are in the lead of the race here at Misano. We turn the power mode back down to power mode 1. Obviously, it stays up on 2 from the qualifying session, but I always like to start in 2 anyway, just to get a bit of a better start for the line. You have to pay for it a little bit in terms of fuel afterwards, I suppose, but it's not a massive deal because you're only in it for about a corner. So how far have we got to lead? We've got an 8/10 lead already over Misano here. Look who's behind him. I can't see anyone's going to be able to challenge him here, so I think he's got a pretty solid second place, and he'll definitely be trying to hunt me down, because I've noticed sometimes the AI do come back at you a little bit after the first lap, so perhaps that will happen here. So coming towards the line then, we have absolutely left Misano. We are 1.3 seconds in front after 1 lap. Oh, Dennis Fodger's crashed. Dennis Fodger's had a crash behind, so that's his second crash of the season, and that could really put him under threat because Romano Fenati was very close to him in the championship. Iagora's crashed as well. Whether those two are related, I'm not sure, or perhaps Fodger's done what Misano did, but now Nepa's crashed as well. I'm losing my words here. What I was trying to say was maybe Fodger did what Misano did in Austria, where he just came back on the circuit. But there's so much going on, so many people crashing behind, and we've got to focus on the riding as well, obviously. So we've got 1.6 seconds now, Misano behind us. So at the end of that lap then, what was the lap time? 1:44.3. We are 1.8 seconds ahead. Oh, Iagora's down again. That's probably going to be him out of the race, I assume, because I think usually 2 crashes for the AI, and that's it, done for them. 2.4 seconds in the lead now of Misano. Over the line then. 44.2, another fastest lap of the race. The lead's now 2.3. Oh, Misano's crashed behind us. Yama, Misano's gone down. So that's 2 episodes in a row. Misano's crashed. Absolutely nowhere near us, though, this time. Fenati's now second. Misano has crashed. That could be massive for the Constructors' Championship. Both Leopards crashing, potentially being out of the race. Or out of the points. That could be 25 points that we gain back on them in the Constructors. It could be on here. Same for 658. They could have a good go, but I think Misano might actually have got back on in not too bad of a position. We'll have to have a look. Iagora's had his 3rd crash of the race now. He's really having bad luck. But I think there might be a glitch with Rio then, where the AI are crashing a lot, because obviously Fodger crashed at Rio. Iagora's crashed 3 times at Rio, I believe now, if you kind of estimate whereabouts he'd be on the circuit after 3 crashes. To be honest, if he keeps crashing, we might end up lapping him. So after the exit of Misano, then we've got Fenati behind us. How far behind is he? 5.2 seconds. We've got a massive lead. Mino is 3rd, Vietti 4th, Salac 5th, Antonelli 6th. I think probably Misano is probably in about 7th position, looking by the gaps. This is probably the most strung out the field has been in any race, it seems. They're all in little groups. I think that might have happened in one of the previous races as well, maybe at Austin. But the race is where I've really had the pace. There's another crash. Fenati's now down. Fenati's now down. There must be a glitch with Rio. There must be something wrong with Rio for the AI, because there's another crash at Rio. And Fenati looked like he was going to definitely overtake Fodger in the championship after Fodger's crash. But it looks like now that's probably not the case anymore. But we've got a SkyVR 46.23 behind us. This is the most chaotic race. We've had so many crashes. I'm going to have to have a look back at some of these on the replays. But I've totally missed them because I've been out front all on my own. But so many crashes down at Rio Corner. We've got 5.9 seconds ahead of Mino now in 2nd position. Right, so starting the final lap then. How far are we now in front of Mino? Assuming Mino is the one that's still behind us. We've got a penalty there at turn 1. 6.4 seconds, but yeah, I just misjudged that by trying to look for the gap. I misjudged turn 1, got a bit of a penalty. Not that it'll matter, considering how far in front we are. Absolutely ridiculous scenes in this race. So many crashes here at Rio. There could still be some more. I'll be keeping my eye out for it, definitely. So out of the last corner then, coming up towards the line, the championship is going to look very interesting after this win. Most dominant victory of the season, I think, other than Qatar. So far in front of the guy in 2nd. So then, we finished 1st place, obviously, but by 6.8 seconds, 10 seconds ahead of Celestino Vietti in 3rd. John McPhee actually gets to the top 10 for once in this race, but this is a mad race. 2 SkyVR 46 bikes on the podium. That's going to help them in the Constructors massively, especially with Fenati and both Leopards crashing out of the race. Philip Salac, 5th place for him. Sergio Garcia as well, 8th. Fenati ended up 10th actually, so not too bad for him. You got Rusai Yamanaka 11th, Tony Arbolino 12th, 13th for Cooney, 14th for Sasaki, 15th for Koffler. And Ranas dropped to 16th. I don't know if he had a crash actually or not. A lot of the riders did, but let's have a look then. So actually, all the riders that retired: Yama Masia, Ayagura, Dennis Fodger, and Kaita Toba. Oh, and Stefano Neppa. So many retirements in this race. Absolute carnage. But both Leopards DNFing. So that is massive for both championships. So if we look at the Riders' Championship, I said about Fenati and Fodger that Fodger crashing really gave Fenati a good go. They're now level on points. Antonelli's 1 behind them. Mino with his second place is 3 behind them. And Suzuki's only 9 points behind them. So 3rd down to 7th is so tight. You could put a blanket over all of them, you know, with those points. So close. We now have a 141 point lead. To be honest, we were only 9 points off winning the championship at this race, because obviously we got the full 25. So it looks like we're almost certain to win next time, as long as we don't get outscored by 16. So if we don't get outscored by 16 points by Masia, we win the World Championship at the next round, which looks like it probably will happen. So looking at the Constructors' Championship, Leopard, despite absolutely dominating pretty much the entire season, and now only have a 25 point lead ahead of the one rider team in the Constructors' Championship. It's pretty amazing. I don't know, we could have a go at wrapping up both championships here, because that's what I'll put my effort into in the last few races if I manage to win at Aragon, trying to get the Teams Championship. But I'll have a look at some of those Rio crashes now, actually. So on board with Fodger then, he goes into the corner, loses the rear on the power, and down he goes. And I'm pretty sure that's where Ayagura went behind him. Yes, he did. And this bike just skid down the road. Apparently that put him out of the race. So on board with Ayagura then, through the corner, exactly the same crash on the rear. I'm guessing that's how most of them went down. He got back on though, and he got back on very quickly. Oh, he's the one that hit Fodger's bike, and then he got knocked off again. That's how he had his second crash. Oh, that's why Fodger is out of the race, and that is how... I think that's how Toba went out of the race. Poor old Toba, look at this. Oh. I think Arbolino's almost been took up, but Toba's just gone straight into that bike. Nothing he could do. And that was him out the race, because he's been then clipped by someone else who's managed to stay on. I think that was a Renas, maybe. Oh, and this is how Agora crashed again. He tried to get back on the track at full throttle and just high-sided on the grass. So, Agora's crashed a lot in this race, bless him. And how is he still in the race? That's what I want to know. He's crashed about 3 times, all big high sides, and he's just carried on going like nothing's happened. So here we are with Masia then this time. He goes in, exactly the same crash as the other guys. I'm guessing that's how they're all going to go down, and that was him out the race there. So did he get hit by anyone? We'll have a look. I don't think he did. It just seemed to be terminal. No, because look, Fenati just went through. So let's have a look at Fenati's crash this time. So here he goes, tipping it in. Exactly the same crash for the 4th time. So the AI just get on the gas on the curb and it just has them off. It's unbelievable. But yeah, that is one of the most crazy races. That's the most crazy race I've had on MotoGP 20 with all those crashes. I mean, Ayagura, what happened with him? How he was still in the race, I don't know. He must have retired in the end. It said he did, but I'm not sure what happened to him. So this is the lap after we've just saw him have 3 crashes. He then has this one, exactly the same again. I think that might have been him out this time. No, he got back on again. Now this is the next lap again. You think he would have learned at this point. But here he goes, tipping it into Rio. The same crash for the 3rd time, and I think that, yeah, that was him finally out of the race. But he was coming out of Rio. He crashed coming out of Rio when we were coming onto the back straight before Curvone. He was about half a lap behind us at this point. Bless him. I don't know how he stayed in the race for so long, but that was amusing. That was quite amusing. So that was one of the most crazy races I think I've ever seen. So many crashes for one rider. I'm sure he crashed about 5 times. And he did it about 4 laps in a row as well, which is ridiculous. He did the same crash so many times. The AI are clearly bugged at Rio, it seems, so they need to perhaps fix that. I've heard that the same thing can happen at Sachsenring, the last corner. We had a couple of crashes there in our race. Apparently someone had a race where all the riders DNF there. So then, as we usually do, we gained 5,200 reputation points, which brings us up to 81,350. And I accidentally skipped the credits, but you know how many we got. The same number as always, and we're now up to 69,533, but I accidentally pressed A, so I skipped the cutscene. But actually, looking at this, the research and development, we finally have a fully upgraded bike here, and it's the best race really to have it, the race where we could potentially wrap up the World Championship, although all we need to do is score 9 points or more, and that is it. So we have a new technical staff member here that's applying, but again, we don't need anybody new because we've fully upgraded the bike now, so we'll advance 1 more week, and then I'm guessing we're just going to head straight into the race. So another new candidate. Edward Harvey. I'm going to refuse all the candidates, see if we get any better ones. So without further ado, I'll see you at the end of practice in Aragon. So at the end of that free practice session then, we did a 2-minute 2.034, which was half a second faster than Jaume Masia in second. So he's really bringing the fight here, but there's little he can do now to save his championship hopes. I'm guessing he's just going to try and consolidate the second, because he's still got a bit of a lead over the others in the championship, and I suppose Leopard want to still win the team's championship, which they're now in jeopardy of losing. Obviously a 25-point lead over a one-rider team is quite cushy, but we saw that they literally lost 25 in one race in the last one, so it's very much possible that we could be leading the Constructors' Championship after this race. It's quite unlikely, I think, because I doubt they'll crash both of them 2 races in a row, but it could happen. Now we'll head into qualifying, and hopefully I can try and get another pole position. So then we're here in qualifying. Got to make sure we've got 4 laps of fuel on, heading out with Power Mode 2, try and get another pole position here in Aragon. We can wrap up the championship here. I really want to do it with a win if I can, but obviously if I can't, it's not the end of the world. It's actually just occurred to me that we're only 3/4 of the way through the season, because this is round 15 out of 20. And yeah, we can wrap up the championship today with 3/4 of the way through the season. That's pretty insane to think about. We've had absolute amazing domination over the entire season. The only race we lost, of course, was Jerez, but we still got 3rd place, so we've only dropped 9 points this whole season out of the possible ones we could have scored. So I don't really blame the AI for not being able to particularly keep up. Obviously they've given us about 50 points as well in terms of free points from just crashing. So Rusai Yamanaka's ahead of us. Hopefully we can try and pass him without too many difficulties on this lap. So we're going to sort of the reverse corkscrew section through turn 8. Flicking the bike over into turn 9. I'm sure one of those is named after Marquez now, but I guess it's not been updated in the game. Through turn 10. Closing up to Yamanaka. We're going to have a go into turn 12, the infamous traction control corner. We go down into turn 12, hitting the brakes. We broke way too early there, so that actually really could help our rivals out. Handed them a massive advantage. Well, I think we have a really good pace here as well, so. Into turn 14. Bit of a wheelie. Oh, we almost lost the front there. It's allowed Yamanaka to actually stay quite with us. We haven't really pulled away from him very much, because the only reason we've just gapped him is because he tried to dive bomb us and ran wide. It's a shame that the AI still do that, even in qualifying. I mean, that's what happened to Fogger in Brno, I realised after the race. That's actually, I thought maybe my dive bomb would put him back, but actually he was still there. He just then dive bombed me at the next corner and ran wide, but I didn't even see him on my screen, and that's when he lost all his positions. It was a really weird manoeuvre. But anyway, 2-minute 0.6 there on that lap, so hopefully that will be good enough for pole position. So then that was good enough for pole position, and we have 1.3 seconds ahead of our championship rival Jaume Masia in second. Iagora, to be honest, he was doing pretty well at Misano when I looked back at the start. He was in a pretty high position, just he threw it away a lot. So it seems to be very, very strange. Like every couple of races, just some random rider will pop up and be challenging the Leopards. It has been Fanati lately, but Agora has really stepped up here, so maybe he can try and get in the mix and get a good result for himself. Fodger in 4th place there, so I've got to watch out for the 2 Leopards, obviously, because really they are the riders and battling for the Constructors' Championship more than anything now, because the Riders' Championship is pretty much sealed, especially if I finish ahead of them. In fact, I can finish behind the pair of them and still win it, so I'm looking at the Constructors' Championship now, so we've got to try and beat both those guys if we can. So we're on the grid now, then we're looking at Jaume Masia in 2nd position on the grid. Iagora in 3rd. So hopefully he won't have 5 crashes again in this race, because that was very, very strange. One of the weirdest races I've ever had, Misano. Hopefully this one will be a bit more normal, although I did quite enjoy the craziness. Celestino Vietti starting 25th when he got 3rd in the last race, so watch out for him. He also started last place back at Brno and he got up into 10th, so do watch out for him. He's got some good pace. But anyway, without further ado, here we go to try and win the championship. So I think 10th or better will probably do it. I'm not 100% sure on the scoring though as we go further down the grid. Waiting for the lights to go out here. Lights out and away we go. What kind of start have we got? Put back into power mode 1. Don't want to be worrying about fuel. I think we've still got the lead as we go towards turn 1. I think Masia tries to go around the outside there. That was and that's Fogger. Fogger in 2nd position. Fogger will be in 1st position if I didn't get a very good exit out of that corner. Fogger's attacked Masia. He's already in front of him. He's not particularly helping his teammate out, although not that it matters. He's not within a chance if he's behind me, so I suppose whilst they are behind me, it's fair game. So we go into turn 5 now, still in the lead of the race. Antonelli in 12th place apparently there. Vietti's up to 25th now. Do watch him coming through the pack. We've got 3/10 lead ahead of Dennis Fogger. Into turn 7 on the power. Down towards the reverse corkscrew section. Will this race be as spread out as the previous one? It was pretty spread out at Misano. Obviously lots and lots of crashes, but also lots of gaps. I was about 6 seconds in the lead because of all the crashes behind me. Just putting different people into second position all the time. But it looks like the two Leopards have got away from everybody behind. They definitely want to keep hold of that Constructors' Championship. If they can, that's all they've got left. And actually it probably does make more sense for Fogger to be ahead, because obviously he's got equal points with Fanati, and I'm pretty sure down to 7th in the championship are only 9 points behind him, so it's very, very close from 3rd to 7th, and he obviously wants to hold on to that 3rd position in the championship. He's half a second behind me as we come onto the back straight. Our Cobra in 6th place, pretty good result for him. Powie up to 22nd. In fact, I don't think I've mentioned Powie the entire season. I don't think I've seen him at all. I think I've only seen his name a few times and just not mentioned it, but yeah, Carlo Dampawi there battling with Ricardo Rossi. John McPhee up to 14th. He obviously had his best result, I think, in the last race. Obviously because of all the crashes ahead of him. Now how much of a lead have we got at the end of this first lap? So 8/10 of a second ahead of Foggia, Masia, and then Fanati, the usual suspects, in 2nd, 3rd and 4th. So at the end of the second lap then, how far we're in the lead? 2:01.5. We're now 1.3 seconds ahead of Dennis Foggia. So at the end of that lap then, how far are we in front? 1.7 seconds, 2:01.3, fastest lap of the race. So we're about to start the final lap then, 2:01.4, I don't think that's the new fastest lap, but we're now 2.2 seconds in the lead, starting the final lap. This should be our race and our championship. Here we go then, round in the last corner, up towards the line to become the Moto3 World Champion in career mode. So then, in the end, very, very easy race to be honest. Only 2.6 seconds ahead of Foggia, but they were no threat to me at all. Obviously, their fastest laps weren't too far off mine. They were a lot quicker than in qualifying, as usual. I mean, I don't really understand. I think they put hard tyres on sometimes in qualifying, these front runners, and they just don't qualify very well at all. But a pretty standard order, really. We've got the two Leopards, then Fanati, then the two 658s, Iagora 8, so dropped down a bit, but not too bad. Where did Vietti finish? Celestino Vietti only got to 14th this time, but not a bad job from how far back he started. It is quite difficult to carve your way through, of course. It's not the most easy track to pass on either, Aragon. So we'll move on to the championship now and sort of just look at where everybody else is, because we've now won the championship. So we actually have a 150 point lead going into the last 5 races, which is more than enough to win the championship. We've got 180 over Foggia in 3rd, then there's 187 back to Fanati, 191 for Antonelli, 194 for Mino, and 198 for Suzuki. So there's now 18 points separating 3rd to 7th after that race. Quite a big difference compared to before. Obviously Foggia had a very good performance in his defence there in 2nd position behind me. So have a look at the team's championship then, but I think they'll have pulled 9 points out on me now. Yes, and they've now got 36 points. Honda Team Asia move up to 9th ahead of Angel Nieto team after Iagora's pretty good performance. Much better than in his last one, that's for sure. But we'll head into Parc Ferme now, then into the career hub, and we'll see if there's any special cutscenes for us, or maybe we'll have to wait till Valencia to see those.
Now he and his mechanics are rightly going to party.
Yes, we are going to party after that championship win. We got a while as well, I think, maybe, for the next race, although actually I think it's the next week, so we probably haven't got that much time until we go to Buriram. But absolutely dominant season here, won every race except one so far, and we can probably carry on that streak to the end. We will find out. Obviously 5 races to go. We're going to still try and win the team's championship if we can here for DHL Honda. Their first season in Moto3 could be a championship for them. So we gained 5,200 reputation points then for that weekend. I'm guessing most of the championship stuff we'll have to wait till the end of the season to reap the benefits of those. So once again 6,151 credits, which brings us up to 75,684 credits. And I didn't say the total reputation, I don't think, which is now 86,550. Okay, so I'd say that's the end of the episode, but we have got a notification from our personal manager. So have a look. We've received a proposal from DHL Honda. So DHL Honda GP is happy with your results so far. Yeah, I'd hope so. Both on track and in terms of bike development. Given the excellent progress we've made together, they're convinced that you can fight for the top 10 positions next season. I've just won the championship with you. Like, literally, I've just won it. Wouldn't you expect better than that? Well, I don't want to re-sign with them. So if we got to search for a Moto2 contract for next season, so actually, what team should we go for in Moto2? Because we could go for another fantasy team, or we could go for an official team, although there's still some that are not interested, apparently, even though we've now won the Moto3 World Championship, so it's a bit strange, that one. So that's where I'll end this episode off then. We've won the World Championship now in Moto3, so we've just got to finish the season, and then we'll be on to Moto2, and hopefully we can try and win the championship there, but we won't get too ahead of ourselves. The AI might be a little bit better. They've been quite weak in Moto3, definitely, so hopefully they are a little bit better in Moto2. But I hope you've enjoyed that one. It has been a very interesting season, very interesting episode, really. Misano really being the most interesting part, even though we won the championship at the next race. Misano really was an odd one. Like I said, I hope you did enjoy this one. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you're staying safe. I shall see you in the next video.